So, um, Dennis, my question is directed to you. A few weeks ago, Unearthed Arcana put out a whole thing of new feats. And I get it, it's Unearthed Arcana, so it's not necessarily kosher. But are we able to pick one of those feats, or do you want us to stick to official, sanctioned, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Guy feats?
I have always embraced new things.
Okay.
I always have. So UA is usually it's put out there for playtesting. Now, officially, I don't have any right or
Authority.
yeah, I don't have any authority to say,
There it is.
we play tested this and it rocked, or it sucked. I don't. But in in the vein of creativity and
Well, and this is the spirit of the game. This
Yes.
is
I'm
the
gonna
game
say
is a
I'm gonna say
collaborative
yes
process.
until I have to say no. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And then that would be a side discussion that I would have, whether or not we need to nerf something or completely get rid of it. But so I'm going to say yes, but
Okay.
if it gets out of,
Provisionally.
if it gets out of hand,
All right. So, level 4. I was not expecting level 4 tonight.
why not?
I don't know.
Oh,
So I guess to start out in the beginning, when I initially envisioned Orion, the choice that the I picked a feat at level 1, which is the grappler feat. And the reason I did that was because it gives you advantage on attack rolls when you have somebody grappled. And the long-term goal was at level 5, the pugilist gets haymakers, which allows you maximum damage, but you have to roll at disadvantage. So in my mind, I had envisioned like kind of like an MMA type fighter who will grapple somebody and throw haymakers from a grapple. So whether, or even envision like a hockey player, you're grappling, you're grabbing a jersey. And so the grappler's feat would cancel out the roll at disadvantage and you just roll normally.
where did your idea of Orion come from? Is this something you've always wanted to do? Is it a departure from other characters that you've played?
Orion comes from me. I've played a monk before, but I've never been terribly happy with the monk. And I was so happy when you pointed me out the pugilist.
Right.
And I say he comes from me because I used to do MMA. I used to fight in cages, and so there's a big part of Orion that's a part of me. So when I'm trying to describe the combat and stuff, the pugilist I find matches very well with what we see as modern day mixed martial artists,
Yep.
whereas
Agree.
the monk does not. And the monk, for all of his, for all the abilities they have, they're not very good grapplers. Because,
Agreed.
A monk, you're dumping all your stats into dexterity. So that's kind of where Orion was born of, was my own personal history. So I'd always envisioned once I got to level 4, it was going to be a kind of a simple decision: take the 2 points in strength or take the 2 points in constitution, because the pugilist gets a lot of bonuses from his constitution.
Do you find
But
getting away from the monk
yep,
and finding a less disciplined, more spit and cuss kind of fighter, does that speak to you Or do you think that's more of a, I don't like what the monk has to offer class-wise?
No, that definitely speaks to me because I can envision a pugilist in the middle of a boxing match sneaking in a headbutt or uh, poking the guy's eyes or grabbing dirty boxing, wrapping your hand around the guy's neck and
Oh,
popping in
sure.
uppercuts, and that just to me sounds more, it doesn't speak monk. When I think D&D monk, I think of kung fu movies, where they're doing a lot of cable work and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's never really been my jam. That doesn't float my boat.
So when you decided on the pugilist, did you end up going through levels 1 through 20 and figure out exactly what you're going to do and when?
No, I really made a game plan for levels 1 to 5,
Okay.
knowing that Haymaker, drops. You get dropped. The Haymaker comes in at level 5. Past level 5, I mean, I've looked at it, with the sweet science subclass at level 6, your monk flurry of blows increases by 1 extra attack as well. So, and then at level 17, and I don't envision us getting to level 17, but one of the nice things about the sweet science pugilist at level 17 is, assuming you hit and you meet a couple criteria, regardless of the creature's hit points, they're knocked out cold,
Mm-hmm.
which is a pretty cool feature. So I think that's the capstone, if you will, for the pugilist.
So on the DM side of things, what if you knock a creature out, what is their last grasp at not getting knocked out? Do they get a save? Do they get a
I'll read it.
to take half or?
I'll read it to you. It says at 17th level, when you hit with an unarmed strike, you can spend 1 or more moxie points. The more moxie points I spend, basically it allows me to roll extra D12s. And the more moxie points I spend, the more D12s I get to roll. And you add all of those up plus your pugilist level. And if that is greater than the creature's remaining hit points, there's no save. You don't get to do anything as a DM. It's just knocked out cold.
So those are your moxie points that you're spending, and you get 1 moxie point per level?
Not per level. You cap out at 12.
Oh, do you? Wow.
Yeah. But you have a feature that I used in the last session, which is bloodied but unbowed. And you've got to be, below 50% of your hit points. And you get your temporary hit points and you regain all your moxie points, which is a pretty powerful feature.
Yes.
So you can blow through, if you're in a tough fight, you can blow through your moxie points.
Given what we know about how you use moxie points, yes.
And then once you drop under 50% of your hit points, you get all your moxie points back. So there's no, for the player's point of view, there's no fear of running out of moxie points, which is something that you always worried about as a monk. Are you going to have enough key points?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of hoard them like gold.
Yeah, yeah. Like sorcery points as well.
Yeah. So yeah, and then when these new Unearthed Arcana feats came by a couple weeks ago, I saw that practiced expert. I was like, holy crap! This will allow me to make that odd 15 in my dexterity to a 16, and gives me expertise in athletics checks, which is phenomenal. and I can explain it play wise, because not all grapples is about strength. Sometimes it is about finesse.
So this is the second character I've had the honor, and it is an honor to
Thank
watch you portray. And I noticed a kind of brotherly protection over Regali. Do you think that's just because Carolyn is who Carolyn is, or does Orion, the character, actually give a crap about the fairer sex
That's
and the fact?
that's Orion trying to protect a girl.
Yeah. So he's got that gentlemanliness in him.
Yeah, and not so much towards Ember, because Ember's like nearly 7 feet tall and almost as strong as him. So he doesn't necessarily see Ember as being the member of the fairer sex who needs protecting. And it's
Right.
not to say, because Regali doesn't need protecting, but that is Orion's personality.
Okay. Interesting. Did you get a text?
I did. From the lady in question.
Yes. Interesting.
The 6 feet back, all right. Social distancing 5e spell.
Love
Nice.
it. Okay. All right.
And
So
I gotta say, I've also really enjoyed the friendship that Orion and Frederick have.
yeah, that's really and it's about to take a turn. With this
Maybe.
with this rod in his hand and the puck in your hand.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's actually a nice physical manifestation of what I'm trying to do. So,
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is there any well, I guess from the DM standpoint, I know that unlike some other DMs that I've had, you are not actively trying to kill us.
Why would I want to do that?
Well, some DMs actively try to kill their players. Anything about the pugilist that has thrown you off guard?
Nothing that I have seen, and I projected, character decisions on a couple different branches all the way up to 20th level, and I don't see you being any more or less lethal than a monk.
Okay.
It's just a different style in which you achieve it. So with key points and moxie points, and I think the balance is there. I'm not really worried about that at all.
Yeah.
Unless there's some hidden thing that and I've noticed this before with a lot of other classes, if you couple two things together and use it in a different and unique way, and a lot of people think outside the box and they say, I found this great thing. It broke your game, but it's legal. At that point we would need to have a conversation. But for right now, I don't see any problems at all.
Cool. All right then.
All right.
All right. Well then, the next person who will be discussing this will be Frederick, followed by Regali, and then Tom.
All right.
Or that's what the editing will do.
I'll make it so.
Make it so. Yep.
All right. Hobie,
Yeah,
welcome to level 4.
thank you. Very excited.
Are you?
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happens with level 4.
Really? For you? What is it?
Yeah. All sorts. So I had the choice between increasing stats or picking a feat.
Okay.
And I decided I was going to go with a feat because I've never really done that very much in the past when I've played. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a feat, make it a little more unique and stuff. So the feat I took was from the Unearthed Arcana. I think Regali also is taking a feat from here, something like that. And I'm picking a Shadow Touched. Wonder why that is.
And she's taken Fate Touched, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. But yeah, so that lets me increase either my intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1. I chose charisma. And then you learn the darkness spell and 1 first level spell of your choice. The first level spell must be from the illusion or necromancy school of magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Once you cast either of these spells in this way, you can't cast that spell in this way again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast these spells using spell slots you have of the appropriate level. The spellcasting ability is the ability increased by this feat. So the extra first level spell I chose within those parameters was Inflict Wounds.
You're going to inflict?
Inflict Wounds.
Ooh.
Cure
Diabolical.
Wounds is no longer, I don't believe it's anymore. It used to be a necromancy spell, Cure Wounds and all that stuff back in 2nd edition, but now I think can't even remember what it is now. But yeah. So I took Inflict Wounds, where I can make a melee spell attack against a creature within my reach, and on hit, they take 3d10 necrotic damage.
I believe that's at the top of the list for that particular level of spell. For total damage that it can do. I believe there's a spreadsheet out there that lists every single spell and how much damage it does and how it graduates as you increase in level, and it'll give you its mean average of damage that it does. I'll send that to you.
Ooh, sure.
What were we looking for? School, that's what it was. Necromancy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Inflict Wounds is so level 1 spell, 3d10 worth of damage.
Not too bad. Some of the other stuff that I got with level 4 is another cantrip and another just level 1, level 2 spell that I can pick.
So what'd you take?
For the cantrip, I picked Chill Touch because that's specifically good against like undead and stuff like that.
Kind of goes with your idiom too.
Oh yeah. And then I was able to pick another spell, and I picked Misty Step for some good utility and mobility. But I also had the option of swapping out one of my previous spells for a new one. So I took advantage of that as well. I swapped out Wrathful Smite for Branding Smite. The difference in that was Wrathful Smite, add an extra d6, and then the enemy had to make a saving throw, or they got the fear condition. But my stats and my saves are pretty low for my spells. So I think they only need to get like a 13 or something like that to save against it. So I kind of upgrade that into Branding Smite, which does 2d6 radiant damage, and then the target just becomes engulfed in light in a 5-foot radius. And they can't become invisible if they were going to try.
So how's it going since your character's death?
Surprisingly well. The coming back to life has definitely been a plus.
Now, when I first started playing back, before it was even called first edition, obviously, but my DM, if you died, you gained a level if you came back, because it's such a learning experience.
Oh, yeah.
But we're trying to keep everybody together level-wise, so.
Oh, yeah. That kind of worked out with everything, though.
So, yeah. Your your vision that you had when you died.
Mm-hmm. Still got the images.
Did you
sketched
write them
down.
all down?
Well, I sketched down the ones I remember.
Oh, you actually sketched like art sketch.
Oh, yeah. Here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Show you.
You're going to have to scan those and
Oh yeah. Oh, they're terrible drawings. I'm terrible at drawing, but
it
I
works.
think that makes it just a little bit funner. Where I'm like, was that one of my visions? I think it was.
Now you get a bonus when you think you see a vision. You can roll with advantage, and I'll tell you yes or no for sure whether or not that's part of it.
Good. Cool.
Okay. Because I know Hobie the player is different than Hobie or Frederick the character. So Frederick would definitely remember something he'd seen before under such stressful and strenuous circumstances. So I'll give that to you. You just tell me when you think you see one.
Okay.
Okay. Have you taken your character all the way to 20th level, just like on paper, just to see? No, you haven't done that? Okay,
no.
I just wondered. You take it as it comes?
Take it as it comes.
Okay. All right. Any changes you want?
No, not so far. One other thing with my level up is I got to switch out. I had the option of switching out one of my invocations as a warlock. I switched out mage armor. I think it was his Hex of Shadows or something like that, or Armor of Shadows, where I could just innately have mage armor on without casting it as a spell or anything, just having it, being able to, rather it's cast it at will, but without using a spell slot. So I swapped that out with Devil Sight, where I can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, up to a distance of 120 feet. And I figured that went pretty well with the Shadow Touched, because I can just cast darkness on something. If I'm reading it right, you can cast on something you're holding. So if I were to cast it on my shield.
Yeah, like a button or a shoe, yeah.
Yeah. But if I cast it on my shield, then the area around me for, I think it was a 15-foot radius.
Of the shield.
Is covered in magical darkness.
So you could throw the shield and throw the darkness.
I could throw the shield, throw the darkness, or keep it with me, and I can still see through it.
Right.
Because I have that. And I can just go toe-to-toe with somebody, and unless they have some magical vision as well, that lets them cut through it, they can't see, and I'm able to take that around with me.
Cool.
Yeah.
How's it going campaign-wise for good old Frederick?
Oh, it's going very good now. He's got a rather interesting item in his inventory as well.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of notes. There's some
more.
there's some minor things that happen to you as long as you're carrying this thing around.
All right.
First of all, when you picked up the rod fragment, it immediately took ownership because it liked how you think. Okay. And now it's going to start changing the way you think. Not in any bad way, but you're going to start to get on Regali and Ember's nerves because you are going to be constantly straightening things, putting things in logical order. Okay. Messes are going to drive you insane. So let's just say your character has now become OCD.
Got it.
Okay.
I can remember that.
There is a way around it. If you don't like what it's doing to your character, let me know and we'll figure something out.
No, I think that's pretty good.
Okay. So just play it like you're OCD and things that are messy bug you.
All right. Yeah, I will.
Okay. The other thing is when you don't really have to be asleep for this to happen, but when you concentrate on the puzzle pieces at either end of your 8-inch fragment. When you concentrate on that, you can tell there are other fragments out there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, yeah.
every once in a while, when you're thinking about it, you get a vision and a direction
All right.
of where another fragment is. Okay? And this is special to you because of your alignment and the fact that you have the rod. Now, if the entire party was made up of chaotic good creatures, then you would have had to turn this fragment over to someone else. But just because you're lawful neutral, pure lawful, you and the rod have become friends. And it's not going to control you, but you are definitely in control of it.
Okay. We're gonna work
Unlike,
together.
right, unlike Orion.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, I know a lot of people, and we had this conversation a little bit while we were playing, that pure law is neither good nor evil. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just, this is the law. Who makes the law, whether or not there's a universal law, whether or not you're going to have some demon or some god or goddess come and tell you that there's a universal law and this is how you follow it. Okay. Until that day comes, just use your best judgment or Frederick's best judgment.
Right.
And you won't go wrong. Okay. This isn't a thing that I gave you. I mean, it is an artifact with limited power, but the more fragments you have, the more powerful you'll become.
Very nice.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions for me?
No, not one that could be answered right now, probably.
Okay.
It has to do with the rod, though.
What? Go ahead.
Well, after it, assuming that we find all the pieces and complete it for one reason or another, from there, would it be able to be modified at all, or is it set as what it is going to be?
Artifact-wise?
Just maybe. Well, here I'll tell you what I was thinking. Just to go along with the imagery of my character and his kind of belief system, to turn the rod into a sickle eventually. And use that as his
You mean like
primary.
a sling blade or a Kaiser blade?
Oh no, like a Grim Reaper scythe.
The actual...
Sorry, not a scythe.
Oh, really? Yeah, I guess you put a handle on it and a blade on it.
Hmm.
What's you thinking?
Oh,
Because that is
to eventually become a Grim Reaper.
Is it? Okay, I'm just curious. All right, I don't see a problem with that, but
Okay, that's further down the road. Cut this part.
yeah, hands up. Okay. Anything that you need DM wise? Do you need me to help your character, or
No,
is there a magic item that you're wishing for?
No, not particularly. There's a couple that I think are funny and that I enjoy, but nothing that my character would need. They're more just personal things that I think are funny, like the cloak of many eyes.
You think the cloak of many eyes is funny?
Oh yeah,
Really?
because it's just a cloak that has a bunch of eyes all looking around, and if you're wearing it, then you can see all around you. And you can't really be surprised because you always see them coming up behind you.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
I just think that one's funny. That's one I remember from, that would have been like, I think, second edition. At least when I first heard of it. Oh, and then I can't remember what it's called. It's like some character's name, Machine or something like that. But it's It looks like a lobster, and it's a little lobster mech.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Goblin Make or something like that.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I just remember I remember a group I was with early on. We found one of those once, and we called it the Iron Maiden, and one of our people would just like crawl around that the whole time and fight with it.
Okay. I'll jot those down. Let me think. The friendship between you and Orion is going to be maybe a little strained because of this artifact. But feel free to make any decision that Frederick would make. I'm going to put a little pressure DM-wise.
All right.
But don't think that you have to bend to it or that I'm trying to manipulate you in any way. Just as it comes.
Oh, I'm all for it.
Okay, just and then we'll see how Orion reacts to all that.
Alrighty.
Because he really cherishes the friendship that Orion and Frederick have. So.
Oh.
Yeah. And you'll see when they finally put this together. Okay. Any other questions?
No, not really. I'm excited to get using this rod. 5 times per day it can cast Gust of Wind.
Mm-hmm. And the command word is that Justicia, Justicia, which is Latin for justice.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
There was something I sent you in quotes.
Yes.
That is the rod speaking to you.
Okay.
It's not totally sentient, but it does have certain things that it can convey. And that quote, pretty much every day you wake up and every night you fall asleep, this rod is going to put this in your head.
Alrighty.
Okay. Just kind of like a little nagging voice.
Oh, well, yeah. Alrighty.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So we'll see you next week then.
Yep. See you next week.
All right, buddy. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Are you ready?
I think so. I don't really know what this is going to entail.
Just asking a couple of quick questions about how you feel, and then that's it.
All right.
So welcome to 4th level.
Yay. Thanks.
How do you feel?
I feel really good. I'm excited about these updates.
What are you getting? Anything really awesome?
Well, I took the Fey Touched Feet, which gives me 1 use of Misty Step per long rest, which I think will be good fun, and 1 use of Command per long rest. Well, it said any enchantment or divination 1st level spell, and I chose Command. And then it gives me an added point to my charisma, which bumped up my charisma modifier, which in turn bumps up my spellcasting and pretty much everything Bardic Inspiration based.
Do you have your character planned out from level 1 to all the way to 20?
No.
Okay.
I tend to like to respond to what's happening in the world, and I think the way that Regali feels about what's happening in her life will help her figure out who she's going to be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're about to get into a different setting, and it was going to involve your family history in a way.
Ooh, exciting.
So get ready for that.
Hi.
Is there anything else that you can or that you need from me as DM? Like, are you aiming for anything special ability-wise or character-wise or magic item-wise?
Not particularly. I really enjoy the story we've been living so far. I guess I trust you to direct the plot.
Okay. I just wondered if there was something in your dream character that you would want in your hot little hands besides a tiny little ukulele.
Not particularly. Not at this moment. I am
Huh.
very excited about the bag we just discovered. That's going to be fun and useful
Hmm.
because she's very squishy and not useful for a lot of physical things like carrying stuff and surviving things.
What about the kittens?
The kittens are the most exciting. I wasn't sure if I should specifically mention them because I don't know when's this going to be released in relation to the rest of the videos.
It'll probably be right after the discovery of the kittens.
Okay.
So that's the kittens are going to test your play acting abilities a little bit. Just
I
thought
like the kittens a lot.
Okay.
They're fun. I'm a little concerned about why they were in a bag.
Yep. Considering the people that put them there obviously liked order.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's it like playing with three boys? Not as much burping as you thought?
I've played with guys before. Sometimes it's a little awkward with Thomas playing a girl.
Hmm.
Just, it's interesting because I feel like some of the things he does and says as a girl kind of throw a light on what he thinks it means to be a girl. So that's always really interesting.
Or at least a girl furball.
A girl furball, yes.
Yeah, that is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I think Thomas likes to challenge himself. So
Yes.
how's he doing?
He has...
As a full-fledged member of the women's gender, how's he doing?
It's hard to tell sometimes because he doesn't seem to like to role play as much.
Right.
I think he's doing okay so far.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can amp him up a little bit.
Okay.
And we'll test him as well. That's what I like to do, is see how far you guys can stretch your acting abilities. And so we'll see. Now that we can get the higher level monsters in here for you guys to fight.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I do wonder sometimes if I interrupt too much when I'm role playing or if it's disruptive in any way. Is it going okay?
It should be extemporaneous, and you bring that, and it's a ray of sunshine when you do.
Okay.
And I'm sure if it gets running too long, we can cut it, or we can cut it out. So you be you, and let us worry about the production.
Sounds good.
Okay. Because you're doing an awesome job.
I'm having fun, so I think that's been most of my goal in this.
Good. Excellent. All right. So anything for me? Anything you want to see changed?
I don't think so. I did want to ask, we mentioned when we were going over character options that one of the spells I'd taken last time we leveled up, well, before we started the everything, was the detect magic, which I didn't realize at the time Thomas had as a racial feat. And so is it okay with you that I dropped it and took a different first level spell instead?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just because we missed it at session 0 doesn't mean you should have to suffer.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was able to take comprehend languages instead. So at some point I'll be able to sit down and figure out what it is that I've been muttering into the void this whole time.
Okay, good. That's excellent. So it's something along the lines of knowledge is king, acquired at any cost. That's ostensibly what that saying means.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Especially considering she has no idea what the cost may be.
Could be. All right. So if you're having fun and I'm having fun and everybody else seems to be having fun, then I think we're doing something right.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. All right. So we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So 4th level, how does it feel?
Yes. It feels good. Finally actually a chef. Finally can turn into swimming creatures.
How's that going to change what your character does?
Well, can definitely help more in the water now. Also, when doing the whole supporting, making food for everyone, it actually has an effect now.
Was that part of your character plan all along, or is this something that just kind of fit?
I mean, it was part of the RP character, design that she was a chef, so that feat fit in perfectly.
Oh, okay. Good. So I asked everyone the same question. Is there any particular magic item or piece of gear that you're going to find essential for your character coming up in the near future?
I haven't really thought about that. The expanding ladder is pretty cool. I mean, anything to do with fire would definitely fit the character well, but not essential.
Okay. Just want to make sure. How's everything going campaign-wise?
Pretty good.
You having fun?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I talked with Carolyn about, and I'm pretty sure all of these are going to get posted at the same time, but I talked to her about how interesting it is to watch Thomas, a guy, play Ember, a female, and the things that you perceive as being female and things that she's actually lived as a female. It's kind of like a portal that she gets to view. And I thought that was kind of interesting. How is it that you end up playing females? Is it just an aspect of having a character be a female, or when you...
I don't always, I've definitely played all kinds of characters, but it is interesting, through role playing, like exploring, different roles. And hopefully I'm not doing injustice,
Well, I don't know.
my best.
I don't personally, but I'm a dude, so what would I know? But I don't think you've done anything insulting. Certainly not. It's just an aspect of taking on a character that just happens to be female, and there you go. Let's explore it. Let's see how well that goes. And so far, I think you're doing great.
It's good. Thank you.
So do you have your character planned out all the way to 20th level? Or do you just take it one level at a time? And
I'm mostly just taking it one level at a time.
have you seen the videos where, like on, I know Nerdarchy does this a lot, is they'll take a character concept.
Oh yeah, and they'll plan it out all the way.
Yeah. So you haven't done that at all, ever?
I've done it before. It's just most campaigns do not go to 20th level, so. And I have a rough plan, but not anything. Like, I don't have it all mapped out.
Interesting. Nobody in this campaign has it all mapped out, which is great. I mean, as the campaign changes, so should your character to the environments that you encounter, certainly. But it's interesting that nobody, and I would assume that it's perfectly fine that you guys don't. You just, as you level up, you take what you get and you try to match it. And she did, Carolyn's character, Regali, took Detect Magic.
Oh, she did go with that still?
But she backtracked because it's part of your character's racial abilities, I guess.
Yeah, it's a verbal glacial ability, so I have it for free.
Yep. So she told me she wanted to backtrack and change that, and I said that was fine. So it's good. You guys should do that. Is the Discord server just for players, or can I show up?
Yeah, you can show up.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't know if that was allowed or not. Okay. Do you have any questions about the campaign or things that I'm doing as DM?
Nope.
Okay. All right, good. All right. So I guess we'll see you next Tuesday with everything all set to go.
All right. See you then.
All right. Thanks, Thomas.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. We'll see you. Oh, yeah. Hey. I don't know which Lawrence to use.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to bug you at work or anything. Just,
No.
I could just see you sidebarring with the judge and all of a sudden your Snapchat starts going off because Dennis has something he wants to share.
Usually, once I go into the courtroom, I usually put it on Do Not Disturb.
Oh, okay, good. I figured as much.
But the one time you forget.
Oh yeah, the one time I forget.
It's going to be all memes from all corners of the internet.